Hey everyone, my name's Amy and today I'm teaching you guys how to make my favorite recipe, vegan shepherd's pie with sweet potatoes. So, I originally got this recipe from One Green Planet. Check that website out, they've got super amazing recipes, but let's dive into how to make this. So to start off this recipe, we're going to preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit so that we can roast our sweet potatoes. For our sweet potatoes, we're gonna be taking 2 of them, and then we're gonna wrap them in tin foil and roast them for about an hour. This is gonna make them perfectly soft and delicious to be the topping for our shepherd's pie. Now let's chop up our vegetables. We're gonna need 1/2 cup of carrots, 1/2 cup of diced celery, and 1/8 ounce package of button mushrooms. Yes, I'm going to be chopping up the whole package, and no, it's not going to taste slimy. Also, we're going to use 1 small onion, all of it. Here I'm using a technique that I originally learned from the Food Network when I was little. It works really well. We're going to boil 1 cup of lentils in 6 cups of water for about 15 minutes. This is going to function as our meat replacement for the shepherd's pie because traditionally, shepherd's pie is actually made with ground beef. Now that our lentils are going, let's heat up a pan so that we can cook our veggies. Once your pan is nice and hot, we're going to toss all of our vegetables in together. Now you don't actually have to add any oil to saute these, and you don't have to add water either if you're using a non-stick pan. The mushrooms themselves will give off lots of water in the cooking process. I almost forgot to add in my garlic. Make sure to add 3 large cloves of garlic, or about 1 full teaspoon of minced garlic like I'm using here. Now don't forget about your lentils. When they're done, you're going to want to strain them and then put them back in your pot, because we're going to cook it with all of the veggies when that's done. Once the veggies have cooked down a lot, we're going to add in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now I did add a 1/4 cup of water at this point to make the tomato paste easier to stir into the veggies, but you don't have to if you don't want to. The recipe calls for 1 full tablespoon of soy sauce, but since I'm using such a dark, thick type of soy sauce, I only used 1/2 tablespoon. Make sure to do this if you're using tamari as well, because it's thicker than your normal soy sauce. 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. Now that the lentils are done and drained, we're going to add in our cooked veggies. And we're also going to add in 1/2 cup of unsweetened plant milk. I like oat milk, but you can use whatever type you like. But if you don't have that, you can also substitute it with vegetable broth. Both taste good. Now that our filling is done, we are going to spread it all out inside of our dish. I'm using a slightly smaller dish than what they call for, but a standard casserole dish works well for this also. Now we're going to use 2 tablespoons of vegan butter. If you do not want to use vegan butter, which I absolutely understand, I personally only use it when I want to make this recipe super decadent. But if you don't want to use it, you can replace it with some plant milk. If you are using the butter, however, then melt it in your pot, and we're going to add in either 2 tablespoons of fresh chopped sage or 1/2 teaspoon of dried sage to either one that you're using. Now, let's take our sweet potatoes out and get them ready to mash. I actually like to chop my sweet potatoes quickly like this before I take the skin off, because as you can see here, they just fall out of the skin at that point. And if you have any difficulties with them, you can just chop it in half and it will come right out. Since these were roasted for quite some time, they should mash up really easily, especially when you add in the butter or the milk mixture. finally, we're going to top the filling with our sweet potato mash, and then we're going to pop this back in the oven for another 10 minutes to make sure that it all gets nice and heated together. So this recipe does take some time to make, but it is so totally worth it. This is absolutely one of my favorite recipes, and I think it will be one of your favorites as well. The recipe for this is going to be linked down in the description box. The original one, which is from One Green Planet, will be there, as well as a virtually identical version that'll be on my website. Alright, so I really hope that you enjoyed this recipe and that you always remember to love God, eat greens, get moving. See you in the next video.